and welcome to a very special edition of the Global Agriculture Innovation Forum. I'm Gerald Shively, Associate Dean and Director of International Programs in the College of Agriculture at Purdue University, your host for the forum. It's our distinct pleasure to be partnering with USDA's Foreign Agricultural Service to bring you this year-long series of events. Today's special session is a pitch contest that will put on stage 5 budding entrepreneurs from sub-Saharan Africa. Our program consists of 3 parts. In the first part, we'll have a panel discussion with 2 experts, one from the Farm Foundation and one from Purdue University, who will be discussing the role of agricultural innovations in supporting smallholder farmers in sub-Saharan Africa. Our second part of the program will include presentations from each of the entrepreneurs who will be making their pitches to a panel of judges. The third part of the presentation today will consist of the announcement of the winners.
The world's population is predicted to be 10 billion by 2050, meaning we have to feed 2.5 billion more people. And to address this, we need to increase our food production by 70%. We've also got an exploding middle class, and 50% of today's populations are millennials and Gen Z who are placing new demands on the food system. Our food system is under severe pressure to produce more with less in a sustainable way. And at the same time, we need to reduce waste, tackle global challenges like climate change, manage scarce resources of water, land and labour, and also solve for food safety and security issues. Unfortunately, we are living through the COVID pandemic. Challenges in the food supply system are further exacerbated with empty retail shelves, meat packing disruptions and price increases. We're seeing acceleration of new trends where home is the new workplace, where we dine in and order food, increase engagement with digital marketplaces, and look for opportunities for touchless interaction with automation and next-generation farming and proteins. Now innovation in agri-food tech has become even more important and more critical and urgent. The ag-tech revolution is here in the form of precision ag, big data AI, drones, control environment and next-generation proteins. We can't continue to do the same things the same way. We must innovate, adopt and embrace technology. This is why we set up Thrive, to advance the future of food and agriculture through innovation. Entrepreneurs and startups from around the world can solve these problems, and that is why we've built a vibrant agri-food ecosystem.
Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome to our panel discussion on the challenges and opportunities of African agri-food tech in today's digital age. I'm Danny O'Brien. I'm the Managing Director of EMEA at SVG Ventures Thrive. And as you've just seen on our intro video, we are an agri-food tech and investor and innovation platform where it's our mission to advance the future of food and agriculture through innovation. I'll be moderating today's panel, and I'm delighted to welcome our 2 special guests today. Firstly, we have Shari Roji Fiddler, who's the CEO of Farm Foundation, a nearly 90-year-old Chicago-based organization, and is also a 5th-generation farmer, owner, and operator. A few highlights of her career include founding a company focused on growth strategies in food and ag globally, including a project across 8 countries and 8 crops in Africa. And she has led an ag-tech company focused on sustainability. She received her BSc from the University of Kansas and her MBA from Harvard Business School. Shari, welcome to the panel.
Thank you, Danny.
And we're also joined today by Dr. Steve Yananek, who's a professor and former head of Department of Entomology at Purdue University. Prior to Purdue, he was a national program leader in the USDA Cooperative State Research, Education and Extension Service in Washington, D.C. for biological control and applied ecology. From 1983 to 1998, he was a research scientist with the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture in Nigeria and Benin in West Africa. And from 1980 to 1983, he works as a research associate at UC Berkeley. He received a BA and MA in zoology and a PhD in entomology from UC Berkeley. His current research interests include biological control of cassava green mites in Africa, plant protection, and pest management of traditional Africa leafy vegetables, and ecosystem services, natural enemies in commercial Midwest cucurbit production systems. Welcome, Steve. Great to have you here today.
Thank you.
And Steve, we're going to start off with you. As we just heard from your bio, you've extensive experience in Africa on the ground. And maybe you can set the stage for us today in terms of what are some of the major challenges that are facing African farmers today, and what are some of the opportunities, that innovation that you can see from your background?
Well, it's interesting how similar farmers' needs are all around the world. I've worked with largely subsistence farmers in Africa, first those growing the root crop cassava, and then more recently farmers growing indigenous native vegetables. And all of them have this interest and need to get quality seeds and planting material, good production practices, and advice in a timely manner. Now, growers here in the developed world need all the same thing. And one of the big challenges in Africa is that information resource that's available to provide the input, the extension that these growers just need on a timely basis. So that has not changed. And I've worked in Africa since the mid-70s. And while the technologies are improving all the time, this probably the most critical need I see that continues is this lack of available information services, advice at the local level.
Interesting. Thanks very much, Steve. I guess some of the similar challenges, in the US and Europe and elsewhere, like you mentioned, one of the issues that we see is education, even in Western markets and Africa, can be an issue to adopt some of these new technologies, which is a real challenge and something a lot of people are working on. Shari, turning to you, can you tell us about your vision and priorities as CEO of Farm Foundation, and how partnering on today's pitch session fits into your work at Farm Foundation?
Sure, happy to. So at Farm Foundation, we're really committed to our vision of building a future for farmers, our communities, and our world. And as a think tank, do tank now, we've positioned ourselves as a real accelerator of practical solutions for agriculture. And to do this, we think three levers are important to do this from a systems approach. So the levers we use are policy, education, and innovation. So I think today's pitch session and the innovation series that Purdue is doing really fits squarely into this innovation lever. So I think it fits really well with our work. In addition, we have some priority areas that our body of work is trying to advance with our projects. And those really include advancing digital ag for farmers and the whole supply chain, as well as sustainability and access to markets. So I think in today's pitches, we'll see several of the solutions that are working to advance those things as well. And then just last, with regards to today's pitch session, Farm Foundation and SVG were both part of the USDA's innovation strategy launch back in 2020, when we could actually be in person all together at the Ag Outlook Forum. And so it seems like a very natural follow-on event that we're partnering together now with Purdue and expanding on that innovation strategy from the USDA. So really looking forward to today's session.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. We're delighted to be involved in this event today, and it's really an extension of, like you said, some of the work we've been doing with USDA and yourselves for quite a while now. And it's interesting you brought up sustainability as well. I think we'll come back to that in today's discussion, but it's such a hot topic on everyone's lips today. And it's also, innovation is important in the sector, but doing things sustainably is crucial. Steve, coming back to you, from Purdue's university, side, there's a long tradition of excellence in US agriculture. So how is engaging in an event like this helping catalyze the much needed change in low and middle income countries, where it's badly needed? How can we translate that kind of body of knowledge to those countries?
One of the things as a land-grant university is that we embrace all three missions that you find in land-grant universities. That's, research and discovery, extension engagements, and learning and teaching. Those are the broad mission areas of our land-grant system. And Purdue's been involved in all three of these areas on the international arena for a long time. One of our strongest reaches has been through students who have come through and gotten educated here at Purdue. And these students become colleagues as they move around the world. So they give us a reach by helping people be trained and be on the ground where the need is the greatest. One of the things that I think we've all discovered is that the pandemic has been an incredibly disruptive force, but we've adopted. And one of the things that has become clear is that we could probably do more in a digital environment than we thought we could. And I think that's still an evolving piece of the puzzle. But I actually I've been in touch and kept in communication with colleagues around the world much more during this pandemic than I would have otherwise, where I might have felt that I needed to be involved in some kind of an arranged meeting or trip or something like that. So Purdue is at the cutting edge of agricultural research in a number of areas. And one of the ways that we embrace those activities is to make sure that we have partners around the world where the research has relevance and has a place that can be implemented. So that's very broadly speaking the strategy that we embrace. And what we're doing is work that is needed, not work that we enjoy necessarily. In other words, we're not trying to find a place to apply the results that we find. We're trying to find a need and meet that need.
That's really interesting. And I completely agree with the COVID as a catalyst here for change. I mean, even from our perspective as an investor in agri-food tech, we've looked much more broadly, much more international over the last 2 years because we can, we're sitting at home on Zoom. We may as well be talking to somebody on the other side of the world rather than somebody meeting for a coffee locally down the road. So I think that's a factor, across the whole investment landscape, and definitely agri-food tech, which is great to see. It's given people a different perspective on what else is out there. And it's great to hear it's the similar for you as well. Shari, I mentioned I'd come back to sustainability. So in farming, it's more important than ever. I mean, it's clearly obvious looking at the weather, the news, there's a new challenge every day, a new disaster. But many farmers in emerging markets are focused on maximizing yields, and quite understandably as well, to make up income and etc. So are you seeing any innovations that can help both sustainability and maximize yields rather than making it a choice for those farmers on the ground?
Sure, and I think I'll go back to Steve's initial point that farmers are the same everywhere. So first, as a farmer myself, I think farmers everywhere are interested in supporting their livelihoods through increased yields. I think we all are. And in emerging markets, that really continues to be critical, both for food security and for livelihoods. Having said that, I do believe that there are win-win innovations that can help enable both increased yields and sustainability goals. For example, I see some innovations that include monitoring plant and animal health and then make recommendations for how to be good stewards or the wise use of resources to try to affect better plant and animal health. I do think there are instances though, where technology alone is not the silver bullet. And I think that perhaps we'd all agree on that. And instead, the best solutions are really paired with a suite of other enablers, whether it's maybe microfinance or insurance or links to markets, or maybe partners sharing know-how. Again, all farmers need that everywhere. And some of these best solutions are really helping to transform the business models, especially for smallholder farmers, by shifting to e-commerce or maybe shortening the value chain. So I think those are just a few ideas in terms of those win-win solutions.
That's great to hear an optimistic view there, Shari. I'd agree. And I think, some of the pitches we'll see today definitely, would fall into the category of win-win technologies, which is great to see. I guess the challenge that we see, and this is, like we said, farmers everywhere, is financing that transition can be tough in the short term because, farmers are up against it no matter where they are around the world for yields and for, the next crop, the next harvest. And so actually having a longer term outlook from financiers is really important to have that transition. I guess, my last question to both of you is, what are some of the key technologies or innovations that you're really excited about that can make a real difference in emerging markets? We hear a lot about many different technologies around the world, AI, blockchain, hydroponics, plant-based, there's so much happening at the moment. But But what are some of the key ones that you think, for likes of Africa, for example, which is the theme of today's event, that are really exciting and could make a real difference there? Maybe Steve, we'll start with you and come back to Sherry.
Well, I haven't dived into this into any great detail, but I have sort of some thoughts about what would be important at the farm level if you're a grower. We have this explosion of molecular technology that's now becoming a everyday tool in agriculture here in the developed world. And it's a set of tools and techniques that as the supply chain improves around the world, can and should become more easily and readily available around the world. It helps provide information that has been almost all but lacking in many instances, and it will put power in the hands of farmers and producers, consumers that are involved in those supply chains to be able to make good decisions. The other big area that I think absolutely needs attention is a support system for growers. When they need information, when they need extension help, where are they going to go to get it? A lot of countries just don't have the infrastructure in their backyard, but because of digital technology, it doesn't have to be in their backyard to be useful. So I can see a growth in information systems and we'll be able to leapfrog a lot of the intermediate steps that we found and we needed to go through in our own country to get where we are today. You think about how cell phone technology just exploded in places like Africa and are game changers in those countries. I can see that kind of a model being important in these two areas that I talked about. Molecular tools for in-field evaluations and decision-making, and then digital tools for accessing information and sharing information in a more real-time manner. And one last thing, not to forget, that climate change is real. And climate change is something that we all have to face, and we have to be prepared for it by taking actions today and not thinking that it's something we can fix tomorrow.
Yeah, here, I definitely agree with that. And it's great to hear you emphasize that point. Sherry, over to you.
Sure. So I'm excited about innovations that are practical rather than, a technology looking for a problem. And I think what that means for me in Africa is especially leveraging cell phone solutions. Africa is really just booming with has one of the highest growth curves for mobile phone use and is one of the largest markets for that. And so I think especially, even though I know there will be concerns about connectivity, again, as we also have in rural America, I think, simple text and SMS solutions as kind of a foundation are very practical. Second, I think solutions that are integrative solutions. And what I mean by that are maybe it's wrapping around a suite of things. So maybe it's real-time weather and real-time market prices. Maybe it's links to buyers, as well as maybe some of these diagnostic tools I mentioned for plant and animal health. So kind of wrapping together some of those solutions to keep them practical for farmers so they don't have to have 5 different apps on their phone to get to some of the solutions. So I think that kind of practical and integrative solutions are the things that I'm excited about. Having said that, I do think in some places and in some instances, we're starting in Africa to see some next-gen solutions where there are some solutions out there and they're starting to layer some of the AI onto those solutions. So I think that's another exciting aspect to see those next-gen solutions coming there too. Coming everywhere in Nebraska too, where I find.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Sherry. That's fantastic. Fantastic points there. And I completely agree. I mean, these innovations need to be practical to be applied at a scale. And, to kind of summarize or emphasize a few points there, I think leapfrog was a key word that was mentioned. There's a lot of opportunity to not repeat the mistakes that were made in other markets, to use technologies that can help, make that leap and do things more sustainably. And sustainability is the key word here as well. You've emphasized that, Steve, that climate change is real, and sustainability needs to be baked into these solutions from the start. And I think some of the areas you mentioned there reflect some of the startups we're about to see. So it's great that kind of some of the key themes that you mentioned, like market linkages, etc., will be represented in our pitches today. So I think that's a great way of setting the stage for today's pitches. We'll leave it there for the panel. I'd like to thank Steve and Shari for their time and insights today. I think it's a great way of setting up our pitches. And before we move on to the pitches, just briefly, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our judging panel for their time in evaluating our startups. We had 6 great judges who spent time evaluating these companies. Just to say a thanks firstly to Kip Tom, former US ambassador and farmer, Steve Coulter, Senior Vice President of Koch Agronomic Services, Ranveer Chandra, Managing Director of Research for Industry at Microsoft, John McMurdy, VP of Innovation and Development at CropLife International, and Karen Gerhardt, Director of Corporate Innovation at SVG Ventures Thrive. So I'd like to thank our judging panel again, and obviously thank our speakers for today, Steve and Shari. I really enjoyed your insights, and I hope you all enjoyed it too, and that you enjoy the pitches. So we'll move on to that now. Thanks again.
Thank you.
By utilizing the power and accessibility of mobile phones, this next startup has figured out how to match supplies from the farm with demands of local vendors and distributors to create direct market access for smallholder farmers. With more, here's Calvin Okello, co-founder and CEO of mShamba.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Calvin Okello from mShamba, and I'm here to tell you about our work. So mShamba is a digital platform that supports smallholder farmers in the production of safe and quality food, and thereafter matches the supply from the farms with the demand from vendors and distributors, thus creating a ready market for the farmers. The problem we are solving is that smallholder farmers are unable to access ready and rewarding markets for their produce. They are also unable to produce food that meets quality standards of the market most of the time. The other problem is that the vendors and distributors trading on farm produce are unable to get reliable and consistent supply of food and quality farm produce that meet the consumer standards. This is such a serious problem that even the children know about it and they're talking about it. So I'll read for you an excerpt from Food Safety Media. And there's a boy here called Victor who says that farmers should ensure they spray their crops with pesticides that are not harmful to humans. Food that has been sprayed like tomatoes should not be harvested immediately to ensure people do not consume these pesticides, which are harmful. And so the wishes of Victor and many other children, millions of other parents, is what we are trying to do and to achieve to ensure that whatever comes to the table is safe for consumption. So as I mentioned, it's a digital platform. The farmers have a suite of tools, interactive voice, SMS, and USSD, where they are able to query for some of this information. They are also able to receive audio on food quality standards, food safety standards, and they are also able to request for read on demand either via voice or USSD. And we have adopted the safety standards from KS 1758 Kenyan standard and the global gap, among others. The vendors on the other side are able to place their orders on a weekly basis, and our system is able to match the demand from these vendors with the supply from the farms. And so we also do what we call bundle service. As much as we are very good in market linkage and support of these farmers to produce in a good way, we also link up with input service providers, irrigation service providers, financial service providers, and storage service providers, so that we are able to create a bundle service that makes the farmer much more comfortable in working with us. Our model is we buy from the farm, pay via M-Pesa, and then we sell to the vendors, exporters, and processors. The market is about $300 billion. The serviceable, obtainable market is about 15%. Currently, we aggregate about 474 tons of potato every week, 89 tons. of tomato every week, 83 tons of banana every week, and 1,060 chicken every week. This we aggregate from about 12,000 farmers. We work in Siaya, Nakuru, Uasin Gishu, Trans Nzoia, and Marakwet, and we supply to about 3,000 traders who are on our platform. The impact so far is that farmers' productivity have increased by about 35%, their income by 60%, sometimes up to 150% when they were changing the value chains. The post-harvest losses have reduced by up to 80%. The profitability of the vendors have increased by 20%. And we're looking forward to creating about 14,040 jobs by the year 2025. Thank you very much. And that is all about mShamba.
This next startup outlines their ability to grow with impact through simple numbers. 4 times less space, 6 times the production, 80% less water usage, and 48% increase in yields. This is accomplished by using a simplified hydroponic system that results in improved food security, nutrition, and environmental protection. Introducing Dr. Peter Chege, founder and CEO of Hydroponics Africa Limited.
Hydroponics Africa vision is to feed the world through sustainable, simplified hydroponics innovation. I'm your presenter, Dr. Peter Chege, the CEO and founder of Hydroponics Africa Limited. The problem: the world requires 50% more food production to realize over 470 million tons of food to feed over 9 billion people by year 2050. Yet, the World Bank estimates a 25% reduction in the yield in the same period due to climate change, increased population, reduced farmlands, and water shortages. Our solution as Hydroponics Africa is all-inclusive hydroponic solutions that uses almost zero energy for irrigation because water stays in the system, allowing farmers to produce 80 times more yield per square foot because we'll be able to grow vertically up to 20 meters high. At the same time, using 80% less water as the nutrients. We will be able to grow 365 days in a year because it does not depend on rain-fed agriculture. And climate change, soil type, water quality no longer dictates the successful income of the yield. Our business model, we have 4 revenue streams. First is for sale of hydroponic systems, which we have designed based on the climate, based on the user, and based on the type of the crop. This consists to 34% of our income. We also sell fresh produce from our hydroponics farms and also from our farmers whom we aggregate and sell to our contracted buyers of the fresh produce. We also manufacture hydroponics nutrients and soil-based fertilizer, of which we have the patent and sell. This one accounts to 22% of our revenue. We also train and do consultancy work for Africa, which consists to 16% of our revenue. In terms of socio-economic and environmental impact for the last 4 years, Hydroponics Africa has been able to install over 6,800 simplified hydroponics units to over 5,000 households. We have been able to train over 20,000 women and youth and created 27,000 jobs. This has produced 4,800 tons of farm fresh produce and saved over 500 million liters of water, and increased vegetation cover and reduce carbon dioxide emission because in hydroponics you can be able to grow in local areas. We grow in rooftops, frustrated walls of the building. So we don't have to cut trees, or we'll be able to now to grow crops where it is consumed. In terms of competition, so far you have 3 competitors. And our competitive advantage is Hydroponics Africa offers all-inclusive hydroponic services, that is design the installation of hydroponic system, provide farm inputs, training, agronomic crop support, market linkages, and financial linkages. The other 3 competitors does not provide all those services. We have a team of 36 employees. As you can see, we have a good experience from 17 years to 4 years experience in hydroponics. We also have our Kenya Climate Innovation Center who give us advisory services. In terms of investment, the current market size for vegetables is US dollars 258 million US dollars, and livestock fodder is 119 million US dollars. And this is expected to increase by 15% every year in Kenya. We are seeking $450,000 US dollars as equity to finance our expansion strategy. And this is going to generate a net profit of 94,500 US dollars at a margin of 21%. This is our website, hydroponicsafrica.org, and thank you very much.
As a farmer, imagine being able to eliminate inefficiencies in food supply by having a platform that could give you insights on what's happening in the market based on prices, seasons, available produce, and growing opportunities. Based in Kenya, this next startup offers just that. Here's Kipruto Chichiru, co-founder and operations manager at Mamlaka Foods Limited.
Mamlaka Foods is a digital marketplace which was founded in the year 2018 with the sole purpose of ensuring that farmers have access to market for their produce. We work and live by the mantra that every harvest counts. This means that we make sure that everything that leaves the farms are bought in the market. We worked in 7 counties since 2018. We've moved produce worth $760,000. We have 21,000 farmers. We also we've employed over 2,100 people, and we are based in Nairobi, Kenya, with our leader being one Kipruto Chichiru, who was the lead founder of Mamlaka Foods. What is the problem that we are facing? We have one major one, which is the access to structured route to market of produce. That is to ensure that there's access to markets. Number 2, there are many intermediaries in the supply chain. This means that brokers, cartels, and all that. Adequate supply chain infrastructure is what's lacking, and also farmers don't have solutions which include their credit, insurance, and risk profiling. Our solution is anchored on 4 things: digital marketplace. Number 2, the digitally enabled agency network. For number 3, supply chain infrastructure and strategic partnerships. How does it work? Customer broadcasts produce, then this produce is seen by the farmers on the platform. We do a matchmaking of price, quantity, quality, and location. When that is accepted, then order is processed. The quality is then controlled and checked in the collection centers. Money is paid by the farmer, by the buyer, to an escrow account to protect both the farmer and the customer. When the produce is dispatched to the customer now, then we make a check-off system as soon as the customer accepts the produce. The players we have farmers, traders, institutional buyers, and the partners that I was talking about earlier on in our marketplace. Why do we think that it's the right time for us to have this solution in the market? One, COVID happened, which has led everyone else to go online for the solution for buying everything else that they have. We have focused on sustainable food systems, increased population in urban areas, internet penetration. There's a lot of mobile money users and adoption, youth unemployment. So when this is done, then our youth are going to get jobs. Where do we get our revenue? We get our revenue from transactional fees, from complete sales, our whole cycle. Number 2, through commissions that we get from optimization of the DIN network, because the DIN network is what forms the buffer between they sort out the farmers and they sort out also the customers. Number 3 of where we get our revenue is channel sales through third parties, guys of insurance, people who give us give the farmers fertilizer and all that when the product now is on its maximum potential. The traction I've spoken about, that we have 21,000 farmers, 760,000 of turnover USD. jobs created, and then the counties that we've covered. And that's, if we can see, that's the projection where we are looking at being in the near future. The competitors that we have Twigger, Digifarm, and all lot of these are the things that the differentiating factors, small scale farmers, which we are heavy on it, to structure their supply chain, tech platform, and strategy. Our team, we are led by the co-founder, which is Mr. Kiprop, and we have a whole lot of a strong team that leads Mamlaka Foods from the front. Why do we need financing for the activities that we are looking forward to? Is to develop a proper supply chain, seed capital for settlement purchases of the farmers, the farmer customer onboarding and integration, and most importantly is to ramp up the building of the Mamlaka digital platform. We built this for two things, just to wrap up. For one, to ensure that there is proper access for markets for farmers, to create value for customer and farmer. Number two is to ensure that every harvest in the farms is bought and sold in the market, because at times we fail to buy produce from farmers because it is not bad food, but it's ugly, which someone else can get that one at a cheaper price. Thank you very much.
Our next presenter was recognized as the top female innovator in Africa by the World Economic Forum and successfully exited the tech company in 2018. Now she's tackling the livestock industry, with more on a biometric identification system to track and trace health abnormalities in livestock using AI and IR imagery. It's my pleasure to introduce Neil Hollis, co-founder and CEO of 3D Imo.
Hi, my name is Nelon Hodise. I'm the co-founder and CEO of 3D Imo, which is a software and data analytics company focused in the agricultural space based in Cape Town, South Africa. One of the problems that we have realized is that 1 out of 5 farm animals are lost due to preventable diseases because of lack of proper vaccination program. And we have also discovered that animal diseases have caused global economic losses of about 80 billion in the past 20 years. If this continues, by 2050, 60% of the global population will barely have organic animal protein on their plates. So we need to start creating a solution that speeds up early detection and tracing of infections and diseases in animals, saves farmers money, and optimizes farmers' businesses. And that is what we provide at 3D Imo. We have created a Tola web app, which provides a globally accessible animal biometric identification, linking an animal to a farmer, to track animal movement, to provide vaccination record, and to provide farm productivity insights, helping the farmer be able to keep tabs of what's happening in his farm and around the region where their farm is located. And how our product works is that a farmer would sign up on our web app, insert information of their farm and their livestock information. They would then have to upload at least 3 images of each animal's nose or muzzle, input information of each animal, such as the livestock type, breed type, the current age, the current weight, and the vaccinations that the animal has received. With that, we are then able to create a unique ID of each animal. And what's special about our ID is that it gives details of where the animal is located in the world. The benefits is that beyond providing biometric identification, we provide the farmer with farm productivity insights, such as their stock value, we provide health alerts, and also providing the regional diseases around that area. And as you look at the market size, currently our focus has been in South Africa, where there are about 150,000 farms in South Africa, and of that number, 144,000 are profitable livestock farms. And our target is that by 2023, we would have reached 50,000 clients within South Africa. And our business model is that we provide two layers of our SaaS model, where we charge an annual subscription to the farmers, and we also charge commission to our different partners such as banks, insurance companies, and veterinary companies. And because we have different clients, we have created an aggressive pricing model that allows farmers to have a different pricing model based on the amount of IDs they create. And our global competitors, we are not the only company that is working in the space of providing health risk management, yield prediction, and disease tracing. There are a lot of companies that are also in the space, but what makes 3D stand out is that we are the only company that provides biometric identification, also providing health risk alerts and yield prediction, all in one product. And our attraction to date is that we have we have 207,000 livestock in our portfolio with over 380 clients. And in the past 4 months, we have increased our annual recurring revenue to 31,000 USD, which is an increase of 28% client growth month on month. And our team, we have a diverse team that comes from both a technical and a business background. And what's interesting about our team is that in the past 3 years, we have stayed in over 10 countries doing the demo work. And our funding needs is that we are raising $1 million USD, which will optimize our talent, our product, and our operation to reach a target of 75,000 farmers by 2023, which is in South Africa. And we also want to expand in California and reach about 25,000 farmers. And that will mean that our projected revenue goes to $4 million USD with the current, with using just the average tier of 55 USD. So thank you.
Our final startup is using data science and demand matching technologies to help smallholder farmers upscale their production capabilities and fulfill demand requirements of large buyers. Winner of the Pitch AgriHack and the Impulse Accelerator, here's Femi Aiki, founder and CEO of Food Locker.
Food Locker, 250 million farmers. In September 2019, Nigeria's largest tomato processing facility was shut down because farmers could not meet the demand for tomatoes. It meant a 1,400 ton per day processing plant was shut down and productivity nosedived. That is the story of a $350 billion market for food in Africa, where over 250 million smallholder farmers cannot meet the demand for food because they lack access to demand awareness, they lack access to capital, inputs, and the knowledge of good agricultural practices that can help them. Then comes in Food Locker. We're a market access and production management platform that meets the farm produce needs of large buyers by supporting smallholder farmers first with demand awareness, but also with access to inputs, credit, and expertise. How does it work? We collect historical demand data as well as forward contracts from large buyers. We then forecast this demand into the future such that we can inform the smallholder farmers about what to produce, how to produce, when to produce, for whom to produce, and our partners provide support to the farmers in terms of access to input, credit, and expertise. While the farmers are producing, we're collecting a lot of data from them, and we're able to optimize their yields. At harvest, we sell directly to the large and small buyers, and therefore the farmers are making money, and the ecosystem is also making money. And our offering is a web application plus operational activities that allow us to be able to upscale and support millions of smallholder farmers who are producing across Africa. And all the smallholder farmer has to do is to send a basic text message on a periodic basis in any language and based on specified formats to a dedicated phone number. Our system then converts this data into farm performance indicators that are useful for understanding input consumption, but also output growth in terms of yields, revenue profiles, cost profiles, but also to be able to provide lenders and stakeholders with information they can use to support these farmers. This is a $350 billion market, and over the next 10 years, we're going after $1 billion worth of that. We make money by selling farm produce and consumer goods to large and retail buyers at margins of between 10 and 40%. And we also make 40 to 50% margins on logistics. Over the lifetime of a customer, we can capture more than $1 million in revenues. Our team has over 40 years of work experience with the likes of Amazon in operations, but also with the likes of Cadbury, Unilever, Coca-Cola, etc., in building brand and market activations and market entry strategies. We also have technology development solutions, and we have a team of animal and crop production experts who will help us to upscale operationally. Last year, we did over $297,000 in sales. We grew by over 30% despite COVID-19. And in December 2020, we were profitable. We've raised over $113,000. We've served over 4,000 customers and supported over 1,000 farmers. We're not the only player solving this problem. There are crowdfunding platforms, wholesalers, aggregators, and farmers markets. But Food Locker is unique because we have a unique production management system that allows us to be able to support farmers and therefore optimize their efficiency. Our prices are better, our yields can be better, and also we have solutions that allow us to provide credit rating data to lenders. Historically, our product mix had been dominated by non-fresh produce, which meant that our growth was slow and we were not profitable. But in 2020, we flipped that around. We increased the percentage of fresh produce on our portfolio, and ultimately we were profitable. Growth also increased significantly. And that is the model we're scaling up in going forward. And that is why we're raising $1.12 million in equity and debt over the next 6 months in order to finance production of tomatoes, Scotch bonnet peppers, and chicken, for which we already have existing demand. Ladies and gentlemen, over the next 5 years, we're going to have revenues of above $9 million, and our net income would be above 25%. The 250 million smallholder farmers in Africa are waiting for you to back Food Locker. Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome. I'm Peter Hurst, Assistant Director of International Programs in Agriculture at Purdue University. Let me say congratulations to the 5 startups on their pitches today. Together with our partners, SVG Ventures Thrive and Farm Foundation, we reviewed hundreds of companies and identified these 5 startups as an impressive reflection of the innovation happening across the African continent. The contact information of each of these startup companies was included to encourage you to network with these entrepreneurs, and we hope that business synergies will develop. To evaluate these startups and decide on a winner, we selected 6 outstanding judges with diverse backgrounds, contributing both private and public sector experience to bring various points of view. Earlier, our startups had the chance to pitch our judges live, followed by 5 minutes of question and answer time. Our judges then deliberated on the pros and cons of each solution to decide on our winner. The key areas we evaluated the startups on were their team, technology, business model, customer traction, and market opportunity. It wasn't an easy decision, and scoring was actually quite close in the end. On behalf of Purdue University, I'd like to thank our judging team once again for their time and contributing their experience and expertise in evaluating these companies. Before I announce the winner, let me describe the prize package for the winning startup. The highest scoring pitch will receive an all expenses paid trip to the United States, where they will receive business mentoring at Farm Foundation in Chicago, and also visit Purdue University for entrepreneurship training, mentoring, and networking with other entrepreneurs. Again, I congratulate all 5 finalists and wish them every success in the future. But there can only be one winner, and that winning startup is Food Locker from Nigeria. As you've just heard, Food Locker is an innovative market access and production management platform. Congratulations to Femi Aiki and the entire Food Locker team. We look forward to Femi visiting us at Farm Foundation and Purdue University. Thanks for joining us today, and I hope you were as inspired by these innovative startups as we were. I hope you'll join us for the next Global Agriculture Innovation Forum session on October 27th, where we'll be discussing some of the innovations in entrepreneurship, especially among women and youth. Again, thanks for joining us today, and we hope to see you again soon.